Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Friday Night Live, show number 18. We're back, and it is the autumn season, if you like. Had a nice little break there, I have to say, throughout the summer holidays. It was nice to get away for a couple of weeks, and now we're back and rested and recuperated. I hope you like the new set. I've decided to bring things back a little bit to the good old days as well. Bring back the logo. We have to have the logo, very important. And of course, I discovered this wonderful new discovery, my chair. I don't know if you can realize. I'm going to give you a quick look at it here. It's a nice high back chair. This has been sitting in an attic for probably 5 or 6 years, and I discovered it in my father-in-law's house, and I've been watching this chair for a long, long time. And I said to him, you know what, I'm going to get that chair, I'm going to bring it down and put it into Friday Night Live. So we did, and it's so comfortable, I have to say. So we're going for a nice chilled out vibe on Friday Night Live. I hope you like it. And a bit of a different twist to tonight, I must say. We've got a bit of a spooky vibe going on to start off the show, which I quite like. I'm going to introduce you to a very special guest very soon, in a couple of minutes. But first and foremost, thank you all for tuning in. I am Dave Morrissey here in Limerick, as usual, as always, and broadcasting from the sunroom. We're still in the sunroom, lads, but we've changed it around a little bit and decided to keep it a little bit more intimate for tonight. So, without further ado, my guests tonight were, as you saw on the ad during the week, is Roisin McAlinden. By the way, I just want to mention Roisin is a fantastic singer-songwriter based in Newbridge in County Kildare. She can't make it tonight, unfortunately. She got her vaccination recently and wasn't feeling great, and I understand exactly what that feels like, because having had mine, I felt the same. I was really, it knocked me for six the following day. So we will get Roisin back, but we're going to play a little song from Roisin later on as well. I want you all to have a look at. And also we have Josh Gray from Blessington and Wicklow coming on later on, and Amber Crowley. Amber is great fun. She is currently coming to us from Cape Cod in the United States. She'll be on last tonight. But first, without further ado, my first guest tonight is a man called Randall Plunkett. You might have seen him or heard of him in the news lately, in the media a lot lately, for his massive undertaking of rewilding his estate in Dunsany, in up around Dunshaughlin in County Meath. He is, as I call him, and he doesn't probably refer to himself as this, but he is the 21st Baron of Dunsany, which I think is quite a cool title. But he is Randall, of course, Randall Plunkett. But he's also, apart from being a Baron and looking after his estate and doing all that stuff, which we will talk about tonight, he is a movie director and producer, and is producing his own movies and has produced several so far. But his latest one is called The Green Sea, which is really cool. So I'm going to play you the trailer for The Green Sea, just to give you a quick idea of what Randall does, and then we're going to have a chat with him. So here we go. This is The Green Sea, and it's really, really cool.
As they approach, she spots their lights in the darkness. They swing open the door. She's gone.
You're not going to tell anyone, right? I mean, you know what kind of idiot walks down a country road in the
What,
dark?
you're still at the bus stop and not on a bus?
I didn't have any money. What's your name?
Simone. Raider.
Being with you has been the best time of my life.
Listen, do I know you from somewhere?
I heard she's a Satanist. You've murdered her fella?
Some guy came today looking for you. What did you do?
She's a very special girl. But then I think you always knew that.
Wowee. I mean, what can I say? What a movie. What a movie. I'm looking forward to actually seeing that myself. That is called The Green Sea. And let me tell you, it is going to be available. Well, Randall will tell us all about where it's going to be available in cinemas, I hope, and everywhere. But it's quite dark, and I love it. It's a good story and it's good to get into. So without further ado, let us meet Randall Plunkett in County Meath. Hello, my friend.
Hey, how's it going?
How are you?
I am terrific. Thank God it's Friday.
Oh, thank Crunchy, it's Friday. Listen, what a movie! What a movie! That trailer alone just makes me want to go and get stuck into this movie and know all about it. I want to get started straight into that side of your character, which is the producer, the director, all this side of your character. Tell me a little bit about this movie, The Green Sea.
So it's a funny little movie because it's about a writer. It stars Catherine Isabel. Firstly, you might remember from Ginger Snaps, the Hannibal TV series, things like that. So she's kind of big in the horror world, especially. But this is a movie that she decided to make with me in the Irish countryside, and it's about a writer who's trying to finish the second novel, and she's got a very, very dark past, and the world that she lives in starts to become inhabited by the fantastical elements of her book. And then one such character comes to life and then becomes a sort of like a guide for her to face her dark demons. Wow. So, and then there's a lot of dark stuff going to go on in there. And I'm not going to lie, it won't all be pretty.
I love it. I love it because it kind of, you know, when I think of it, Randall, it ties in quite well with Halloween. You know, we're heading for that season. This movie could really tie in well with the Halloween season and all. Is it available? Is it out now? Is it out?
It's out now. It came out last month. So it's available now at the moment because of the COVID and stuff. They decided to go straight to VOD, which basically means for the layman, you can rent it on Amazon, you can rent it on YouTube, you can rent it on Google Play. So it's rental and buy digitally at the moment, and hopefully, if we are lucky, we'll get some Blu-rays and DVDs by the end of the year. But everything's a bit up and down because of the way things are being printed at the moment, and COVID hasn't helped.
What way does the cinema world work for you with the movie? Is there any chance of getting it on big screens anywhere?
I don't think at this stage, because we were lined up. The distributors made a decision fairly early on that because we were in the middle of lockdown when the film was purchased, and the cinema question was a big question. We didn't know whether cinemas were going to be available. For those who don't know, it takes a lot of money to put films through the cinema because there's a huge amount of marketing involved. It costs the film distributors a lot of money, and we were not sure whether there would even be a cinema for us to show it. And how many screens. So the distributor took the safer option and decided that they would go straight to VOD because we presumed we were all going to be in lockdown. Now, as it happens, maybe there might have been a bit more market than we expected, but to be honest, we weren't going to ride that risk.
Because it's really picking up pace online, my friend. I can tell you something. I've been watching the progress of it, and it's picking up a lot of pace. I have this vision, I have this vision of that movie on a very, very large screen somewhere on the grounds of Dunsany. I think would be awesome if you could do like a premiere or something, because I think it would scare the living daylights out of people in that surrounding.
Well, I'll tell you something. I really wanted a premiere. We haven't been able. The cast didn't see the movie till it was released, because none of us could do a premiere anywhere, because every time we sent it to a film festival, they'd either cancel or something would go wrong. I mean, the film was plagued with problems all the way through it, trying to get it released. And this was just bad luck, because I mean, who could have foreseen COVID? You know what I mean? I mean, that was the kiss of death for most of the movies, the independent movies at the time. Because I mean, how a movie normally works is when you finish a movie, you try and get it into film festivals, and then you build up a bit of a brand with your film festival, and then you try and sell the movie, and then you maybe do a cinema, or maybe you do something like that. But by that point, the movie has been built up. This didn't happen like that, because there was no film festivals that really, and everything was online. So you know, every time you show a movie online, I mean, a movie like that, there's a bit of atmosphere to it. So you need to be focused. You can't be checking your phone while watching. So it's not that kind of movie. So and it's I should point out, it's not exactly a horror movie. It's a supernatural drama. So although it has a very horror element to it, so without giving any spoilers, it's one of those. It's an interesting one, because it delves a lot with the surreal, and it delves a lot with the fantastical. So it's not your normal Friday night movie, no pun intended.
Good. And why not? Why not do that? Tell me a bit about the music in the movie. Who was involved? Did you get involved? music, or
So,
did you get somebody in?
so Darius McGann did the score, and
Cool.
Darius has been working with me for a very long time. In fact, he's done all my movies.
Okay.
So he was a long-term like collaborator. And then this time around, because there was a sort of heavy metal aesthetic to the character, we
Yeah.
incorporated some of the local heavy metal bands. So we approached Invictus Records, and I became very good friends with Dara, who's the owner of Invictus.
I
And
know them
some of
well.
his band- Oh, so you do. So we had some donated music from Sacrilegia, Malthusian,
Wow.
and a whole bunch of others. And so we padded it out with some heavy metal. And as you can probably tell, and I think everybody knows by this point, I am very much a sworn heavy metaler. I love all that stuff.
Yeah, and kudos, man, kudos to you for going to Invictus and getting those bands involved, because you know those bands, to get their music in a movie is a big thing for them. You know, even if it's a royalty check or it's something, because we're all in the same boat. As I spoke to you offline before we went live, like we're all struggling in the music scene at the minute. So to get those bands in, because I mean, let's face it, metal is still very much an underground sort of a genre. So it's tough in Ireland. I know anyway, it is tough for metal bands. It's a great break for them to get.
It is, and you know the thing is that the bands we used were really good.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot of really good metal bands, but the problem is, because of, I suppose, a bit of geography and just opportunity, a lot of those bands, you know, it's hard to break any new ground. You know, I mean, the people who are into that kind of music will hear about it, but you know, trying to bring it to a different audience isn't always easy, and normally costs a lot of money. I mean, you know as well as I do, if you want to get PR for a band, for an album, for anything, you either gotta be very creative, or you got to spend a lot of money. And look, they were very good with us. I think it made the movie having the bands involved. And we were very lucky to have them. And like I said, they're all friends at this point. They're very talented. And you know what? I'm so excited to see if I can get them again for something else, because I mean, they were a dream to work with as well. Like, they were most unassuming, and they really helped. They donated a lot of T-shirts and things like that. It wasn't just the music. You know, when I think about it, really, this movie is as much theirs as it is mine, really. Cool. You know, I mean, we all added, and it all complemented something that was really great. And we tried something different, because those kinds of characters, that kind of genre, isn't normally represented. And if it is, it's a caricature, and it wasn't really in this film. So
and it's not like it's not something that is touched on enough. Not just the dark element. That's cool to do, but the actual theme of it and the storyline is not something we. It's like, it's the aspects of life that we don't want to talk about it, but it's real. It's all around us. We've all been affected. The story of the girl, I don't want to give away too much, but the accident and the flashbacks and all that kind of stuff. It's a common theme. There's a lot more of that about them than we might think. Tell me a little bit about, you know, you as a director, because you're directing this. Like, I mean, how did you get into this? At what point did
I get into making movies? Or how did I get into making this movie?
Well, movies in general. What point did you think? Well, I know you've been, like, I know you've lived in the States, and you've been in the UK, and you've been all over the world before you came to Ireland. But at what point were you a teenager when you thought, I'm going to make movies, or what?
Oh no, I think I was about 6.
6, okay.
I was about 6. No, I'll tell you what happened, because I lived in New York, and it was New York in the 80s. You know, Giuliani hadn't quite cleaned up the streets.
Yeah.
And I was a relatively good-looking, cherub-looking child, and I mean, let's just say I was perfect kidnap material. You know.
Okay.
And I would have fit very well on a milk carton. So my parents knew that, and they kept me locked up. So the problem is, when you live in an apartment building and your parents work all day, there isn't much for you to do. So TV, you know, I hate to say it, TV. There weren't a lot of kids our age. So me and my brother was Nintendo, but we obviously couldn't play Nintendo all day long. Otherwise, we would basically become vegetables. So my parents would rent videotapes.
Okay.
God, I am that old, videotapes. And there was like this amazing, I think he was Persian, and he had a video rentals at the end of our street. And he had like because it's New York, there was a lot of very sophisticated people. So there was a lot of different kinds of movies in that video rental. So what would typically happen is, I was 6, so I wanted to watch cartoons. I wanted to watch, Roger Rabbit, that type of stuff. But my dad and mom were quite like intellectual, and they said, okay, you can rent those movies, but you're gonna rent, for every one movie you rent that you choose, we're gonna choose one for you.
Okay.
Now, my parents, you should know, are hardcore. So instead of like renting something easy, like Robin Hood or something, no, it was going to be like Italian neo-realist films. You know what I mean? It was going to be cinema verite. I mean, I remember my mom traumatizing me with my dad. There was this film called Le Ballon Rouge, which is basically a film that won Cannes, and it's like a shortish film about a boy. And he has a friend who is a balloon, and I mean that in like, he becomes obsessed with this balloon that becomes sort of like his friend, lonely boy and all that. So I could really resonate with that. Okay. And in the end, there's scumbag kids from his neighborhood end up bursting the balloon at the end, and I remember crying for days over this goddamn balloon, and that shocked me to the core. In fact, that was my favorite movie, and it was a French film.
Yeah, and then of course it gets you into the whole. I know with my kids, like sometimes I test out stuff like that too, and I see how far, how deep into movies I can get them without obviously keeping it kind of appropriate. But and sometimes if there's a death of something in a movie, or like the balloon or something, their reaction is huge, and I can only imagine what seeds that sows in a child for when they grow up. I think it's good. I think it's a good thing. It's not for them to be exposed to all sides of life, even if it's a balloon, whatever it is. But it's different than your cartoon happy ending all the time.
I got to tell you, I was depressed for days over this, but I was obsessed with it. Like, we rented it every week for about 2 years. It was my favorite movie, and the thing is like I would be exposed to this like European like art house. There was Fellini movies. Who's watching Fellini movies at 6? Like, I had to sort of ask my dad, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
How would I even have understood that at the age of 6? What's wrong with you? But, in the end, look, it's made me who I am. And I'm definitely a flawed person. But I got to enjoy some of the great movies. Yeah. And, it opened up my taste for those things. Yeah, and, definitely. I still love those movies. And the cartoons got left behind. But by the time I was 7, I wasn't even that interested in the cartoon movies anymore. Disney was beginning to get left behind, and I was getting, the Bicycle Thieves instead.
Yeah. Okay. So as a teenager, then did you ask Dad for, look, get me a little camcorder, get me something, or did you have a sort of a gadget?
No, we didn't. I got the camera late, but what he did do, I was all about money.
Okay.
Moolah. Yeah. Right. So he used to pay me. We had a rate going where I could draw like comic strips and write stories, and I'd get, I was monetized. Yeah. And I had important things to buy, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, for example. Yeah. And I had to have my action figures and my G.I. Joe kind of soldiers. Now, it was America, so they were like $5 a piece at the time. And so if I did enough drawings, I'd get a new Ninja Turtle or a Transformer or whatever. So we were in negotiation, and there was a valuable lesson as well, because my family taught me how to negotiate, and there was always a negotiation.
Yeah, it's good. My son actually makes comics here on a regular basis, and they're called. He's called Good versus Bad. This is what he's doing at the minute, and I love it. And when I look at the comics, it's like this, good v bad, and there's always like a cool story of the good and the bad, and it's at the minute it's quite straightforward, but it's getting more and more technical as time goes on, and I love watching the development of it. So I can totally relate to where your dad was coming from there.
And it's amazing because you're actually teaching your son ways to express himself creatively. And the thing is, it's like a muscle. The more you train it, the better you get at it. And that's the funny thing is, and it's taken maybe I'm 38 years old now, but I really am grateful for having had those lessons, because the more you get used to expressing yourself in multiple ways, the happier you're going to be, because the people who are most unhappy in life are usually the ones who can't express themselves properly. Yeah. And I find that holds true in my life. Yeah, and I'm so happy even when my day is terrible.
Yeah.
The truth is, I'm always looking at things in a different way, because I have that ability to do that. And I do it in my work. I do it in my career. I live a life that is full of hardship and work, but at the same time, I get up every day with enthusiasm,
Yeah. And I think that's important. I feel the very same way doing this every Friday night. It's my guilty pleasure. I look forward to it all week. I have to say, it keeps me going throughout this pandemic and all this crap that's going on in the world at the minute. It's great, and I understand completely where you're coming from. It is important. Tell me a bit about, this is what I'm intrigued about. Okay, so you're in New York, and then of course you studied in London as well, and moved around a lot. But coming to Ireland, at what point did you realize, obviously, the connection to Dunsany and that the fact that you were actually a baron? At what point was that like, wow, I'm a baron?
So, well, I didn't become a baron for quite a while. So,
Okay. Okay.
so here's how it happened, right? So my parents were living in America at the time because my mother was working there. She had a firm there, and
Yeah.
my grandfather owned Dunsany at the time, and you know, he was getting old, and my father decided that he was going to move closer to be nearer. So
Yeah.
he first moved to the UK for a year or so, and then I moved here about 1991.
Okay.
And bear in mind, this was Ireland, early 90s. It was completely different to New York. And
Yes.
in fact, I think I remember my parents complaining that there wasn't even coffee at the supermarket.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Coffee.
I say that out
Coffee
loud now,
was,
and like, you
yeah.
think of
Coffee.
Ireland now, and like, there's more coffee shops than people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to be honest, in 1991, the only thing you could probably get if you were lucky is Nescafe, instant coffee.
Yeah. Yeah. There was nothing. I mean, we didn't. You know what? We were tea drinkers in the 90s. Big,
Oh,
big
yeah.
tea drinkers.
You see,
And that was it.
in my family, you only drank tea if you were sick. Like, you had it if you
Yeah.
had stomach aches. So coming
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
suddenly there was like 21 different types of tea, and there was only Nescafe if you were lucky. I mean,
Yeah.
it was completely surreal for my poor mother, who was Brazilian. And in Brazil, like, you know, children are drinking coffee from about 6 on, you know.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's just a different culture, yeah. And you see a lot of it in Europe as well. I mean, especially in France and Italy. I could when I traveled there first, people have like so many different coffees throughout the day that assist digestion and all this kind of stuff. In Ireland, we just drink it to wake up. I mean, that's probably similar to the States. Paula is asking me, is your dog making his debut?
Yeah, this is Butthead over here.
Cool.
Butthead is Daddy's special one, and then there's Beavis at my feet over here. Now, if they start fighting, well, you'll know about it.
Excellent. Well, you know, I'm a big fan of Beavis and Butthead. I watched them throughout my teen years, and yeah, I love them. They were great. They were groundbreaking.
I mean, obviously, like, you can tell that the aristocracy is on a downward spiral when their dogs are called Beavis and Butthead. And recently, there was an article that came out in The Guardian, and the journalist made a mistake on the numbers of my dogs. And I think everybody thought that I had a dog called Beavis and Butthead. When no, I have 2 dogs, and they're both called Beavis and Butthead. And
Nice.
yeah, I have quite a lot of dogs, and I have a lot of animals actually in general.
Yeah, well, speaking of the animals, so I have to get into the beef of the rewilding of Dunsany. Okay, this is kind of, I suppose, what's happening at the minute, that you've been doing a lot of stuff, you know, talking to the media about. But I love the story because, like we were speaking offline earlier on, I'm on a farm here myself. It's not an estate, but I'm surrounded by land. I understand that feeling, and it's a wonderful feeling to be surrounded by land. There's something beautiful about this sunroom where I am. I look out every window and it's just land. It's beautiful. But to rewild a large portion of land or lands, that's a big task. Where is this coming from? Where did this begin that you thought, okay, I need to do this. This has to be done?
Well, I spend a large part of my day dealing with preservation. Now, there's the building, of course. The castle needs a lot of work, needs a lot of attention. A lot of my decisions in a day are made on trying to preserve as best I can heritage, the history. You know, I spend my whole day thinking about history because, you know, when you live in a place like this and every decision is always looking forward, you start to be more aware of things. You start to think outside your own small life, and you start looking down the road, and you look 200, 300 years down the road. What's it going to be like?
Yeah.
Because I also look 300 years back, and I think, what was it like back then? And, you know, I had this conversation with my dad, and my dad was telling me what it was like when he was a boy.
Okay.
And he said to me, it's like, oh, yeah, and there used to be snipe, and there used to be this, and there used to be that. And I said, well, I've never seen a snipe. What's a snipe? Where's that? And he said to me, well, we don't have snipe anymore. And I said,
they're gone.
Why not? He said, oh, cost of progress.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I'm like, that's very sad. So I say, you know, when you were a boy, you had snipe. When I was a boy, I had rabbits. Am I going to say to my children that there's not going to be any animals left? Is there going to be no forest left? And I thought to myself, I was like, what is Ireland actually? Ireland is the people, the culture, the history, the language, but also the environment. And I'm thinking to myself, I was like, we were pretty good at remembering the history, some of it better than others. Yeah. But we're pretty good at the culture. I mean, culture in Ireland has never been better. Yeah. But we are absolutely, and excuse me for saying this, lousy at our environment. I mean, we cut down all the trees. Now there were historical reasons, so I'm not going to. We won't go there. But there were reasons for it. But the truth is, what's stopping us today, and why are we saying goodbye to all these things that used to be, that are very much part of our heritage? And are you satisfied saying to your kids, well, you don't get to have that because of decisions that we made? Because I'm not comfortable with that. So I decided that I wasn't going to play ball with that. I was not going to comply. So I decided that I was going to do something about it. Now, I'm a big believer in, I don't wait for people. I just do things. And I decided that I was going to do something with my own land. And at a time where I was inspired by an idea that I was working on, of what would happen if people disappeared from the planet. What would the country look like? How would it revert back? And now at the time, I didn't call this rewilding. It was just, environmental protection. But I wanted to focus on that in my next script. So I focused on just allowing the land so I could understand it. Because the way I work is I kind of, what method acting is? Yep. So I have a kind of a way I work. Now, method acting, just for your audience who don't know, it's when the character actor will basically live like the character they're playing. They will talk, live and breathe that character. Yeah. I'm not an actor, although you could probably criticize it and say that I probably am an actor.
No, I think of Daniel. When you say method actor, I always think of Daniel Day-Lewis. He was famous for that, where he would actually live and eat, sleep, and breathe his character.
Yeah, exactly, and including being paraplegics at times. And the thing is, but I do that with writing. So, typically, I will get into things. I will study and learn these things, and that will be injected into my stories. Now, at the time, I was working on a dystopian piece of work, and that was very much something. So I started learning about the environment. I started reading about the destruction, and all that stuff kind of was gestating with me at the time, where I wasn't comfortable with what was happening on the farm, all these species that were lost, the way we were just spraying chemicals on everything. And I was just seeing Dublin getting closer and closer, and Dunsany, which was probably the most wild bit of County Meath, in danger of just becoming another building estate.
Are we saying that, to give me an idea here, Dunsany pre this concept was agricultural? Was it really?
It still is. It still is. But let me explain. So we had. It's always been agricultural. There's a lot of forestry, but there's also, we had. So there was about.
Are we talking crop growing kind of? Crops?
There was both. There was both. But we had animal agriculture. Now, the crop agriculture still exists. Now we have a bit less of it now because a lot of land I rewilded. So all the animals went, and all the meadows became rewilded meadows.
Okay.
The forest stayed the forests, but we just did less to it. Okay. And then as for, there were a couple of areas that were crops that we allowed to rewild. So we had a nice mix. There's still a lot of crops, and it's the crops that pay for the rewilding because we don't take any money. It's all done from my expenses. So I just had to work harder to offset my income loss. But I'm willing to do that because environment for me is worth more than my money. And I don't mind working 7 days a week, 365 days a year, provided I don't have to compromise on my decisions. It's hard, don't get me wrong, but it's necessary.
You're unique, Randall, in that sense, because a lot of people, and let's be honest about it, I'm going to be bluntly straight to you. A lot of people could just sit back and go, hey, I've got an estate. I'm comfortable here. I don't need to do anything. I could just sit back and relax and listen to my metal music all day and whatever. You're not that person. That's what I was most intrigued by when I started looking into your stuff during the week. It's commendable what you're doing, to be honest. How long is it going to take to be entirely rewilded? Is it going to take a couple of years?
Like I said, I mean, an estate like this, I think I should talk about this because a lot of people have the misunderstanding how it is. Estates like this always need money. we're always struggling. Every state, I don't care who you are, maybe just the Queen of England is perhaps the only person who doesn't have to worry about this, but anyone who has an estate like this, I can tell you for a fact that they're struggling all the time.
Yeah.
Because that's what living in a state is. You plug holes, out comes another one. You get overcharged for everything. You have to try and maintain. You're constantly fighting against the architecture, which you can't touch because it's a listed building.
Yes.
You're a constant state of battle. So even though I was doing this, it's not because I could, because they maybe point out.
Yeah.
Dunsany estate was not doing well financially when I did this, and it was very hard for me to sit in front of my mother, who was struggling trying to pay bills with me, and us to sit there doing our budget, knowing that we had to really tough financial decisions, and say, guess what, we're going to evaporate 20% of our income or 25% of our income on top of all the problems. But you know what it is? I'll tell you. There are some decisions that you make without thinking how you're going to do them. And I'll tell you what we did. I decided that I was going to work harder. I was going to have to try and make that money elsewhere. Okay. And it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
I wasn't willing to compromise on my beliefs. And I was trying to, and as things started, and don't get me wrong, this was an idea that was growing. At first, it wasn't going to be like this. It was maybe going to be for a time, and then more as things changed, I began to say, no, that what I'm doing here is really special. There's something magical happening here, and I'm not a scientist. I'm not a lecturer or anything like that. I'm just a filmmaker, and what I saw here, and I suddenly realized that what I was doing here, I discovered something, and it needed to be seen to the end. And what it meant was I needed to keep going. I didn't know where it was going to take me. It didn't even have a word for it when I was doing it.
Yeah.
But I did it. And through all the hardships, I had to sit to my mom one day when we were struggling with some money and we weren't getting paid. And I had to sit to her and say, look, and there was the opportunity to cut the grass, the harvest, for a lot of money. And we were struggling. And I remember that my poor mother was under a lot of, she hadn't been sleeping properly from the fear of what was going to happen if we couldn't make up the bills. Yeah. And I had to tell her, no, we're not going to cut the grass. We're not compromising, no matter what. And you know what? I had to say that to my poor old elderly mother. And you know what my mother said to me? She said, I respect that. You're right. Okay. Yeah. And you know what she said to me? She said, we'll just have to sit with the lights off.
Wow.
Not everybody's going to do that. And I don't expect everybody else to do that. That's what we did. Yeah. And you know what? Things got better because we worked harder and we achieved more, and we're working every day. Yeah. And you know what? I will do this. I will sit with the lights off before I compromise.
Okay. Wow. You see, a lot of people don't, in their wildest dreams, would never comprehend what you've just told us there. So I'm glad we went into that. Thank you very much for that insight.
But I should also point out that at Dunsany and the Plunkett family have particularly thick skulls. I should say that. So it runs in the family to be as stubborn as hell.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, speaking of course, you are a descendant of Oliver Plunkett, who we all know, of course, as Saint Oliver, now a devout Catholic saint. And I was chatting to you earlier on, and I was asking you about the family. Would you still be devout? Would you consider yourself devout now, or is it really something you think that much about?
Well, to be fair, I'm Catholic. A lot of people think that I'd be Protestant, but no, I'm Catholic. I get into heaven because I got a man inside. It's kind of awesome because, I guess I can be a bit less good of a human being, but I still got a man inside. So, it's good. Devout. Look, I love the church. I know it's not a popular thing to say in this day and age because there's so much scandal and whatever, but I love the church because I'm a big believer of looking at the positive things that people have done. And the church has done wonderful things in this country, as well as some lesser things. And I've also lived abroad. I've seen people who've really been helped by the church. So you're never going to hear me bash the church in this country. And now, like I said, I know that everybody's experiences were not the same, but I feel that the church, like everyone, there are some pros and there's some cons. There have been mistakes made, and there have been some wonderful things done, and there's been support. And I got to tell you that when my family died, when my mother and my father died, the church was very good to me. So I don't forget that, and respect to the church of this country as well. And I know that's not a popular thing to say in 2021,
Yeah. Well, you know what? It isn't a popular thing to say, but it's good to hear it. I would definitely share your opinion and your view on that. I kind of like the church myself. I'll tell you what I like about the church. I like it as a place to go, and I don't look at it in any other way. There's the good and the bad. There's lots of good stuff, lots of bad stuff. But I just go in there if I want to go in there, and it doesn't have to be mass. It doesn't have to be for a reason. It doesn't have to be any kind of celebration or an unfortunate event. But I do like to go into churches. I love them as buildings. I love going in and sitting down in them.
And that's what's amazing about the church, because if you think about it, I mean, look how much art that has been produced as a result of the church. I mean, and I'm not talking just about the Catholic Church here. I mean, when I say church, I mean religion in general. There's a lot of negative stuff associated, but think about a lot of the positive. There has been a great amount of art and culture also that came as a result of the church. And I love the church. I mean, I don't go to church. I should point that out also. Like, you're not going to see me there on Sunday morning. I don't have a cross around my neck or anything, but it's a lot of the philosophies behind these religions, whether it's Catholicism or one of these others, they tend to be pulling from a similar kind of mindset, which is you want to try and live a better life, right? And if we boil things down and forget some of the details and just boil things down to their core, it's all about uplifting yourself and your family and the people around you. And those kind of philosophies are, I think, fundamental to most religions. Most mainstream religions. And I mean, whatever you find in your sort of journey that you resonate with, and it doesn't have to be in religion either, mind you, it can be in philosophy. But it is, the core of it, the basic core of it is not bad. It's not bad, as in the formula, if you like, just to be good, be nice to people. It's not difficult to be nice to people. I mean, is it that bad? I mean, they say it at church, they say it in temple. I mean, let's be honest, these concepts are not new concepts, and we don't necessarily need a church to tell you these things, but this is a good way. To follow this kind of principle it's a good way to live.
It is. I must say, I'm going to have to confess something here on the show, Randall.
No, I'm not a priest. I'm not going to take your confession.
Well, I'm going to confess something to you, right? I was an altar boy when I was younger. Okay.
No way, really?
Yeah, it was, man. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was the thing to do here in Ireland. Like, a lot of us were altar boys, and not so much the altar girls came in the 90s and kind of into the mid 90s, but altar boys in school, it was a thing. The reason you kind of did it was because you got to kind of skip school and go and do early mass, and you wouldn't have to go in until maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock. So we loved it. It was great. You go and put on your little rig out and do your thing. And of course, you get a couple of quid. You'll get a few bob off people. If there was a funeral or a wedding or whatever was going on, you'd always get some money and stuff. So it was another way of monetizing your time as well. And yeah, it was good fun. It was good fun.
Now, I got to be honest with you. When I was young, I was not like that. Now, I listened to, one of my favorite albums was Marilyn Manson's Antichrist Superstar, and I used to go to college with a Cradle of Filth T-shirt underneath my white shirt. Yeah. So, I mean, to be fair, I wasn't always as open-minded, should we say, as I am today.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you, like, my altar boy years came to an abrupt end by the time I was, I suppose, 12, 13. I was like yourself. I was listening to AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, all the stuff that was good stuff that was coming in, and going around with a back patch on the denim jacket and all that stuff, and the upside down crucifix, the whole thing, had it all going on.
Had a few of those myself.
The total the rebellion, it was hilarious. But speaking of which, you're a big metal fan. You're big into metal music.
I'm a nerd. It's what I am. I've got a huge collection of music. Like, I mean, it's not just metal. I mean, people associate me with death metal because I bring it up a lot because, nobody knows what noisecore or Norwegian black metal is unless you're into that thing. So but people kind of heard of death metal. They've heard of that. So I get associated with that a lot. But yeah, no, I'm massive into it. I've still a big collector of CDs and vinyl and all that stuff. I mean, it's for me, it's just really enjoyable. I float towards the dark stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And, unfortunately, when I was young, people said, you're just a teenager, you'll grow out of that shit.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it didn't happen. I'm a 38-year-old guy who still sits there dressing like a teenager. I mean, look at this crap.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. I love it. Why not? I mean, I still, when I can find time, I still put on my Floyd vinyls, Pink Floyd. I'm a huge fan, and just get lost in a corner of the house there somewhere when I can. It doesn't happen too often, but
Did you ever see? Did you ever get to see live Pink Floyd?
I got to see Roger Waters a couple of times. Never got to see the Floyd, unfortunately. It's one of my biggest regrets. But I suppose I was young when they were still gigging. But yeah, I could have travelled maybe to Earl's Court or somewhere like that. It was the last couple of gigs they were doing. But I did get to see Roger Waters. And I did get to interview Guy Pratt, who was the bass player on the Division Bell tour and Momentary Lapse of Reason. He was on about a month and a half ago. So that was awesome on the show here. So,
and let me ask you, what's your favorite LP?
I still think my favorite LP for some reason is the Division Bell. For some reason, I don't know why. And, and Roger, I love Roger Waters, and he's not on that. But I just love the music of it. I love the approach. Everything Gilmour does as well is beautiful. But I do, of course, love the craziness of Roger Waters. Everything he brings the anti side to it, and he still is very much that way. I like to watch. He's another guy who is very much he does things because he believes in it, and he doesn't apologize for that. I like him for that. You know, I like him for.
See, I don't think as an artist you should. I mean, you're allowed to be wrong, but you should never apologize, and that's something that I think, you know, we can accept that we're wrong, but apologies, there's no apologies. You know, you do what you do, especially if you're a musician.
Yeah.
You know, you know, I've always been someone who's very keen on people making mistakes, because mistakes are great because you learn from them.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely. Yeah,
apology shifts the issue.
Yeah, it does, and it waters it down, doesn't it? It kind of waters it down big time. I think you should stick to your guns. But is the metal, when you talk about the music, and we'll call it heavy, what we call it, death metal for now, but I know there's loads of genres. Is that something you're going to be putting into movies in the future? Is that something you're going to stick with? Or would you ever consider, like, okay, hold on a minute, there might be a jazz song that might fit in the next movie? Would you ever shift?
I'm not pulled to one thing. I listen to a lot of music. It's interesting because heavy metal is a kind of a feel and an attitude. There's some aesthetic there, and of course there's different tiers of it. But the truth of the matter is, there's a lot of music that pulls from a similar, should we say, idea, and does it in a different approach. So I'm attracted to a lot of different genres that are doing similar stuff. You know, there's a lot of neoclassical stuff doing things like that are very dark.
Absolutely.
They don't have blast beats in them. You know what I mean? So would I put heavy metal music back in films? I think there's not that many people actually doing it. So it's something that's very personal to me. It's what I would say is, you know, when you create a movie, you look into yourself to find that movie. That's how I've always believed it. You know, the more common term is you write what you know. And I mean, those are the things that I know well. So those are things that I understand. Those are things that I've had a lot of time to think about. Those are influences. So naturally, they are going to sort of leak into the movie, even if there's not a thrash soundtrack attached to it. Those elements will always be somewhere there in the aesthetic of anything that I create, at least in the next few years, I would think.
Cool.
But I wouldn't hesitate to put, you know, a lot of the music, for example, the Green Sea. I mean, the music there isn't necessarily the score now. Isn't heavy metal. It's a lot of atmospheric stuff. You know, we had a lot of stuff with crystal sounds and things like that. So it is very different, but it is always pushing the envelope. You know, and musically, that's something that I've always interested in. In fact, funny enough, we spent a lot of time, myself and Liam Yellen, who is the sound designer for the Green Sea. We spent, now typically, for your listeners who don't know, perhaps, typically what happens with sound for a film is that you'll have a couple of people just doing different things. There's a guy who's cleaning up the dialogue. There's another guy who's putting sound effects. There's a guy who does the Foley, who's beating up all the watermelons for the sound effects. And you have all these on different lines. And the director isn't really available there for that stuff because it's boring. It lasts forever. And it normally happens while they're doing stuff. The director gets involved with the sound probably around the end, when there's the mixing going on, because the sound designer has probably put most of the stuff together. There might be some notes sent back and forth. And then the director normally sits in the studio from about the last 10 days. Okay. Right? And that's typically, and we call that the sound mix. Okay. I don't work like that.
Right. Are you there from the beginning? Do you get involved in all of it?
I was there for 15 weeks, every single day. Okay. I was there when we were listening to getting rid of pops and bump sounds, to recording sounds. We recorded a lot of our own sound effects for the film. It was myself and Liam. We went out on day trips recording different metals, grinding sounds together, banging on we went around Dunleary just banging on things with contact mics and stuff like that. We were really, because I'm really into sound. Like hi-fi is my football.
That's a very Pink Floyd thing. That is a very Pink Floyd thing. You know, I mean, the early Syd Barrett kind of stuff and all that. And of course, Roger Waters, he was a massive fan of sounds, of actually just making sounds. I love it. I love getting
the people who they were the people who are making quadraphonic sound. I mean, that's like, you know, I mean, that's what I'm interested in, because I mean, the problem is that the Green Sea never got to go to the cinema because the amount of layering that we did for that film. I mean, there was something ridiculous, like 70 layers of sound, which for a drama film is unheard of. Like you might get that in like The Matrix or a war movie or something. You do not get that in straight drama. And so it was pretty crazy. But the thing is, we were putting so many layers on top because we were creating these mounds of sound. And the idea was, because I was presuming that it was going to be in a cinema, I was going to have sound effects coming. It was meant to be as much of a sonic assault.
Yes.
And because of the darkness of the theme, we were having Catherine Isabel like be aggressive, and the sound was spinning around the room to kind of create like a really almost intrusive feel to the movie.
A rush.
And that's what I was really interested in, because I mean, I love that stuff. I focus a lot on sound, and like I said, for me, even a lot of my writing comes from sounds. It's a really unusual thing to work like that, but it's something that I'm really interested in. And I've always been a big believer of you cannot lead if you do not know. And I don't have to be a professional sound guy to know what sound is. And I would argue that I know very little about sound, really, if you add it all together compared to some of the. But I need to be understanding of what it is that the sound guy does, or what the camera guy does, or what the light guy does. Because if you have understanding, you have not only the ability to lead, but you have the ability to understand what it takes to do the good work.
Yeah.
And people the biggest problem that people have, and I hear this all the time in the film industry, directors are just kind of in their own worlds and they have no acknowledgement of anybody else around them. And I decided to myself I was not going to be one of those. I wanted to know everybody's name, and I wanted to make sure that I knew what everybody did and how difficult their job was. Because if there's appreciation, you can learn about things, and it's being modest with things that gets you that work. Because being pretentious, I only care about my job, is exactly what's wrong in the world today.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. Yeah, it is. Jeez, we've covered a lot of philosophical stuff tonight, Randall. It's great listening to you, man. You've got really good a good outlook and views on things, and it's so true. I know myself in music, you don't walk into a room and presume to know everything if you're recording an album or you're in that environment with other people. Definitely not. I was on, I'll tell you a good one, Vikings. I don't know if you're familiar with Vikings.
Of course. Were you in Ashford?
I was in Ashford, okay.
Oh.
Yeah. And I did about 6 months up there, kind of extras work, and then we got into a little bit of stunt work and stuff, and they trained us and got us, it was really good. Now we got trained and stuff, and we were able to kind of do battle scenes and fights, and great fun. But I tell you something, we were very far away from the director. I think I saw him twice. And look, I understand it was a big production and all that, but when I hear you saying there about, getting involved with everybody, I would have loved to see more of the top shelf of the process, as well as us all in the one. So I like that idea of getting involved with everybody, because I think it makes everybody feel good about being partaking in the movie itself.
Yeah.
It's a good process, but you as well. And I have to cover
it's difficult in those kind of sets because there's such huge amounts of people. Now, to be fair, also you usually have a couple of directors, because you have what they call the second unit director, who's directing extras and stuff like that. But the thing is, the most important thing, I mean, especially for people like you, is appreciation, because everybody is working, everybody wants to work, they're there for a job, and just having appreciation for people. And I've come to understand this in my job. When you have appreciation for people's job, not only do people want to work for you, that they're willing to help you when you're in the ditch. And that's always been the way that I've kind of worked. And my mother used to do the same. And because people like me typically get associated with being snobby, with being this, with being that. And no, I work for a living. I know what it's like to work. I've worked every job in the film industry. I've been a runner. I've done the sound. I've held the boom. I've done it all. Okay. And you know what? I didn't say that I was good at any of it now, to be fair. I don't think my career as a boom guy was going to be. It was a lot like being crucified. I felt like Jesus by the end of the day. But you know, I understood what the sound guy goes through to do it. So, you know,
it's tough. Yeah, it is tough. I've got to touch on this, and it's really important before we finish up, because I just discovered during the week, fresh on your page, that you were embarking on a sort of a documentary behind the scenes about you. Which, very interesting, I must say, and brave to do. It's not easy. It's not something that a lot of people would undertake. What's the idea behind it? Are you going to be in the castle a lot, or are you going to be out and about? And is it a kind of a life story that's going to span over a couple of weeks, or how long is it going to be?
So they are, at the moment, the intention is to follow me for a year.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's absolutely. I suppose, I hope I don't end up like the Tiger King.
Yeah, that's a good point, man.
But the truth is, what it is, it's there's a Peninsula, who's an Irish company that does a lot of TV, is working with me and Over the Fence, which is one of the companies that I don't know if you've seen this film on Netflix called My Friend the Octopus.
Yes.
Won the Oscar this year. So they did that, and Dunsany is now their new doc. So I mean, if they so they won an Oscar on the last one, so you know what, I suppose we have to win at least a BAFTA on this one.
You gotta get something. You gotta get something.
You gotta get something, right? So there's a bunch of us all working together. The idea is they're focusing on the rewilding thing, which is, I mean, with the environmental thing that's happening now. I mean, let's be honest. The world's catching fire. There's floods in Germany. I mean, what more are we going to do? How long are we going to wait before we just accept the problems that we've got and start doing something about them? So there's that. There's the film stuff. There's the heritage stuff. There's like it's a very wide spectrum, and we're looking for a positive angle of how to uplift and how to, like, you know, set a, you know, in a time where everything is depressing and everything seems doom and gloom. We're trying to see if maybe this story that's going to happen over the next year, where I'm going to be lobbying, fighting to get some stuff done, trying to keep the heritage going, trying to get people together, all rally up so we can make some changes, whether that's going to be reasonable entertainment or whether it'll just be me as a Tiger King.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Hopefully
I don't
not.
think so. I think no. Look, I think it's going to be amazing myself, and I'm not just saying that because you're here and whatever. I think it's going to be amazing. I think you're a man of many hats and many. You're not just the film director, the movie director, or the Baron. You're neither of those things. You're a lot more than that. And I think it's very relevant to what's happening in the world. What you just touched on, catching fire, the floods, everything. There's very obvious changes happening. We can all see it. Some of us don't want to talk about it, and we want to bury our heads in the sand. But I think what you're doing with the rewilding and all of that is really relevant to what's happening right now. It's a positive thing, and I really hope it catches on, and I hope people get more out of it. That maybe everybody just go out and do a little bit of something, as you say, some micro stuff. Just do something small to try.
That was my goal behind it, because like I said, I don't believe that everybody has to rewild to make changes, but we have to look at the world as a timeline. We are this much in the timeline. Yeah. But the actions that we make today have a knock-on effect to what's going to happen in the future. We set the stage for what happens in the future. Our great relatives have set the stage of the world we're living in today. The 300-year-old oaks outside that I'm looking at, they were planted, they were positioned. And the thing is that, you know, I look into the mirror and I say, you know, if I die tomorrow, what have I done? What have I done that has been better? What have I done to add to us as a population? Now, contributions do not have to be massive, but they have to be there. And if I say to myself, what am I going to say to your children, your grandchildren? What am I going to say to my own great grandchildren? We have to set this a better stage. You know, it's not going to be us that's going to see the changes, unfortunately. Yeah. But we have to believe that we can evolve. It's to live with our planet and not destroy it. It's the most important thing in the world today, because which is probably the most dangerous time we've ever lived. And it's the most dangerous time because we're at the tipping point. If we don't change the direction we're going in, there will not be a human race in the future. And if you say that none of the things that you or I try and achieve in our lifetimes will matter, we're just done. And I said to myself that wasn't good enough. I refuse. So I'm going to start this. This is a war. and I intend to win it.
Mm.
And I'm going to start with one person at a time, trying to turn them so we can all have a future.
Yeah, that's deep, man. That's deep. That's a lot deeper than even rewilding the land. Your reasons for it is deep, and it's good deep. I love it, and I think you're right. I know my children. I think of that a lot now that I have children. What are they going to have? What's going to be there for them? Can I ask you a really burning question? And I've asked a lot of my friends this. Do you think COVID is environmental? Now that's a wacky one to throw out there. Or do you think it's man-made? In your own opinion.
I think, I mean, let's put it this way. If it was man-made, does it really matter? Because the truth is, it's something that, I mean, if the population of the world needed to go, COVID would be a good start.
Yeah.
But I also think it's also a fantastic warning shot, because I look at trees here, you know, like I look at things in a long-term perspective. You know, we had something called the dieback of the elm many years ago. You probably remember that when you were a boy, you probably saw the elm tree.
Yeah.
And, you know, we fear disease because we're worried about it. We're worried it kills the whole thing. But we forget that our lives are so small in the big scale of things.
Yeah.
And a disease will come and wipe out a species to give an advantage or an opportunity for another species to grow.
Yeah.
So I'm going back to my answer before I go back to your answer. I'm thinking, so is COVID a precursor to a disease that's going to grow to lower the human population so the planet can have an opportunity? I don't know that for sure.
Yeah.
But it's a concept that scares me a little bit, and I'm wondering if we've already gone too late. But the truth of the matter is, I think I'm going to say it's. I don't want to be controversial in this respect, and I don't want to be a tinfoil hat guy in front of your audience. Although I am a little bit of a tinfoil hat guy. I'm going to say that it was not an intentional thing, but I can totally believe if it was something that ended up on somebody's shoe and ended up outside the door. Or it was nature that just gave it a little bit of a push. You know, it certainly has a lot of. If you look into it a little bit, and you know, things like swine flu and stuff like that. I mean, they've been happening, and some of them have been as a result of our choices. I mean, the way we do animal agriculture, for example, the toxic waste that we're dumping in. I mean, can we really be that surprised if something lashes back? You know.
Exactly. Well, you're the only person I could think of that I knew I could ask that question and I would get a really good answer, not just a yes/no answer. That's why I wanted to ask you that, because it's interesting. It is interesting. A lot of us, I ask myself, my mates, we talk a lot about it, and we wonder what the hell is this thing? You know, why is it here? It's here. There's nothing we can do about it, but it's here.
Well, I mean, one can always look at who benefits. You know, I mean, that's normally if you ever want to see a conspiracy, you look at who's winning. And there's certainly some people that look like they are winning, but I also have to say that, I mean, look at the planet. We're pushing it about. Is it so surprising if COVID isn't human made? Planet made. Then what's the next thing that's coming? Because I'd be more worried about that. Because to be honest with you, COVID sounds to me like an entree. Yeah,
that's true, and it's possible. Please God, but it's possible. It is possible. Randall Plunkett, I have to say, this is the longest interview I've ever done on Friday Night Live. I'm going to tell you that's great.
I can talk for hours. Sorry.
No, but ordinarily, if an interview goes beyond 30 minutes, usually either the audience or I am kind of going, okay, we better stop now. The audience here, I can tell you, have thoroughly enjoyed this interview as much as I have. I love the space in an interview where I can sit back and you talk and you've got a lot to say. That's what it's all about. People have really enjoyed it tonight. Really enjoyed it.
Well, I'd love to come back. So if you ever want to invite me again, we can talk about other stuff.
I'd like you to stay in touch with Friday Night Live, man. You will be back, absolutely, because I'm sure you're going to have a million new things to talk about within months. The way things are going.
I'm sure. I'm sure. And listen, thank you so much to your audience as well for putting up with me for an hour.
Nah, listen, no. And before we go, just really quickly, if I want to get the movie, so what's the best place to go and get the Green Sea if I want to download it or watch it?
You can, in Ireland, you can rent it on YouTube. You can rent it on Google Play, Microsoft. If you're in the UK and places like that, Amazon is a pretty good one. But I would say go with YouTube. It's the easiest one.
Okay, cool. Sounds good to me. The Green Sea. I'm going to go get it myself because I can't wait to see the whole thing. I really can't. And listen, maybe, post-COVID when everything is more, well, it's getting back to normal. I would love to make an old trip up to Dunsany someday.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, I'd love to, because I'm familiar with Dunshaughlin and Meath in that area. I used to play music up there a lot and stuff, but I'd love to, and I've seen the castle up and down, but I might pop in someday for the crack and we'll have an old coffee.
Very welcome.
Really strong coffee. Really, and
very strong coffee. Shoes will shoot up.
We'll listen to some death metal, man. Sit back.
You can definitely listen to some death metal.
Excellent, man. You're a star. You're a saint and a star. Thank you so much, Randall. All the best with the new movie and with the Rewilding project, and of course the documentary. Can't wait to see it all.
Adios, my friend.
Take care, buddy. Mind yourself. Thanks a million. So, wow. I mean, like I said earlier on, that's the first interview on Friday Night Live that has gone on for an hour. But it doesn't feel like it. I hope I know you enjoyed it by what I'm seeing in the comments, everybody. I hope you really enjoyed it. That's Randall Plunkett. What a guy. What a man. He's got some really cool views and he doesn't compromise. That's what I love. He doesn't compromise. That's why I wanted him on Friday Night Live. He's got a lot going on. But go check out The Green Sea and other movies. He's got other movies that are out just before that. Check him out, Randall Plunkett. He's on Facebook. He's got his own page. The movie is rentable on YouTube and Amazon and all those places. The Green Sea. Go get it, guys. Go get it. I'm going to get it and I'm going to put it on tomorrow night and scare the bejesus out of myself for the crack. Anyway, moving on. Friday Night Live. Guest number 2 who couldn't make it tonight was Roisin McAlinden from Newbridge, a very, very talented singer-songwriter. And it's only happened a handful of times where a guest couldn't make it if due to not feeling well or just unforeseen circumstances. And I never forget the guest, regardless whether they make it here or not. So I want to play you Roisin's one of her singles. She will be back on the show, but I want to play this for you just to give you an idea of what she's all about. And then I'm going to get Josh Gray on as well. So just a quick one for you guys. I want you to have a listen to this. It's called Never Forget You by Roisin McAlinden. Here we go.
When you left, you never said goodbye. That for me crushed me deep inside. The thought of never hearing your voice or seeing your smile broke me, and I can't deny. Laughter and joy followed you like a shadow in the night. Your warm embrace helped us feel alright. Now all we have are our memories to share, and we hold them close to our hearts, my dear. Losing you hurts so bad. Say goodbye, oh, triple times sad. Missing you every day, but I'll never forget you and the good times we shared. Feelings of emptiness and despair, clouds of light in my mind. I wish I could hold you just one last time. One last time. The grief and the pain has helped me grow strong, so I know the strength will guide me to where I belong. Losing you hurts so bad. Say goodbye, oh, triple times sad. Missing you saying goodbye, oh, triple time sad. Missing you every day. I'll never forget you and the good times we shared.
Wow, 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 wow. What a tune. I had to play that for you guys. It was really important just to get Roisin in on the show tonight. I really wanted to just give you an idea of who she is. She's based in Newbridge in County Kildare. She couldn't make it this evening, but that's okay. She will be back. We'll get her back probably next week or the week after, whenever. But that's Roisin McAlinden. Roa, by the way, is the name she goes under on YouTube. So check her out. Do go check her out. We're a little bit behind, only about 5 minutes behind, which isn't too bad. And I can see that in the green room, I have the one and only Mr. Cool himself, Mr. Josh Gray. So we're going to go straight to Josh and have a quick chat. Good evening, Josh.
Dave, how's it going, man? How are you?
You hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you get me? I can hear you, but can you hear me? Hello?
Can you hear me? Oh, we've got you. Sorry, Josh.
There we go. You can hear me now, can you? I must have been on mute.
Yeah,
there.
small delay. That's the beautiful world of the internet, Josh. There's always little bits and pieces on these shows. Unfortunately, it's not RT. We don't have the production team and everybody in the back room. It's great to have you, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for. I know you were out for a bit
pleasure.
of, and you were busy
Yeah,
and all
pleasure.
that.
No, thank you. We were celebrating. My little sister turned 13 there, so she turned into a young little woman now. You know.
It's a great time, isn't it? It's a great time.
It kind of makes you feel a bit old, though. Then, you know, when they're getting to that age, you know.
Man, I know. Well, my family now, geez, we're all the youngest. My little sister now, sure. She's. I won't give her age away online because she'd go nuts. But she's not a teenager anymore. But I remember when she was turning 13, it was a cool time. Listen, how's things, man? How is things in the world of music? You are busy.
Yeah, pretty good. All of a sudden now, it's been mad because I feel like I speak for everybody for the last year and a half. It's been busy doing nothing and quiet. But then honestly now, just in the last 3 to 4 weeks, it's just gone crazy again, which is fantastic. After being out of things for so long, so hopefully it feels the world's opening back up slowly, which is great for everybody.
Yeah.
So,
tell us about lockdown. Like when the pandemic kicked in, and I know I say this to most people, it's just because I say it because I'm a musician myself, and I remember it's like the biggest crash I can ever remember in my entire life because of what I was into, because I played music. Did you find? Did it really hit you hard, like when it kicked in?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I remember at the start. So I was kind of fortunate enough where I, like yourself, I've been, playing gigging most weekends, really gigging 3-4 nights a week, and then I kind of eased off doing the gigs a bit just because a publishing deal came in for me. So what happened to me then was I started doing a lot more writing and production and trips back and forth to the UK, and then everything just started picking up for me and all these crazy kind of plans to go to America and big kind of tour supports and stuff like that. And then I was kind of gearing up and being ready for that. And then with COVID, wiped all that out. And then, stuck in Kildare at the time where I was living, like yourself. So I was living in Kildare at the time. And I suppose, I kind of, like everybody, I suppose I was a bit butthurt and a bit upset about, kind of everyone's plans just falling to the wayside. But it gave me a lot of time to reflect and definitely, do the things I put on the long finger. So I kind of tried to utilize my time. And just yourself, just like do the things in terms of learn how to mix, get into music production properly, and kind of collaborate with people. And I tried to use the time wisely. Now that at the start that was quite difficult, and I fell into ruts, and you get frustrated and kind of angry with it. And at the start we were told this was going to be for 2 weeks, and nearly 2 years now. So
we spent all last summer, right? We spent all last summer. I'm not going to lie to you, like sitting out in gardens, drinking cans and having we thought this was going to be, maybe a month, maybe
walk
2
in the
months.
park. It was like in summer holidays.
Yeah, summer last year was lovely.
We got the nice spell as well.
It was lovely.
I was living out near Kilcullen, and we had we'd barbecues most days and have the beer, and it was great. But then I suppose that whole kind of honeymoon phase just wore off. And
it did, didn't it? When winter kicked in, it got serious. I know myself, like with the show here, and I this is where it kind of came from. When winter kicked in, it got serious, and I kind of thought, I can't. I know you've done Facebook lives, haven't you? You've done the whole live thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have as well, but like, yeah, it's about like it's I think with everyone it just became like the monotony of just what was
yeah,
a Monday anymore? Do you know what was a Friday anymore? Every day just felt the same.
yeah,
I kind
yeah,
of like I suppose everyone it was very easy to get into a negative headspace very quickly.
yeah.
So and I found like fortunate enough that like I had good friends around and we could kind of all check in with each other, try pull
Yeah,
each other up and.
yeah,
Especially like where so many people are in different fields, but I feel like especially for musicians it's been awful, that way. There's been no kind of there's been no structure, there hasn't been any major support. So it's really nice to see people getting together, even doing the likes of Facebook groups. I've
yeah,
seen a lot of that where
yeah,
people are just start sharing videos online
yeah,
together, or just doing
yeah,
even the likes of this, like live
yeah,
chats with people.
yeah,
And that's where actually I got involved with people in the UK.
yeah.
Started this online writing camp essentially for writers
Cool.
and producers, and that kept us going because I
Brilliant.
kind of got used to being around so many different people at so many different places, and
Yeah,
then you're stuck at home and I'm trying to show my
yeah,
three housemates at the time who are just not musicians and they don't get the same that way. They're still working from home and you're essentially just kind of floating.
yeah.
So
I know it's crazy. It's
it's
crazy,
kind of
and
nice
like,
now just to
yeah, yeah. Well, I have to ask you this, Josh, right? Because you're a young man, right? You're a young man, right? You're young. You're younger than me, right? And a lot of people have given a lot of flack, okay, to younger people. Let's say your age group and younger, even, right? But for
yeah, I'm
enjoying,
in my early 20s, so yeah.
but for enjoying yourself, right, Josh? For enjoying yourself, okay. There's a lot of flack there because obviously there's a virus out there, and blah blah blah, and it's dangerous and all that. And I get all that because down here in Limerick, where I am now, right, inside in UL, there was a lot of celebrations. Okay, last year, a lot of celebrations because look, in fairness to a lot of the young guys and girls, they were told to stop living, and to me, that's a tough decision to make as a 20-something-year-old. Apart from, let's forget the music for a minute, just your
Yeah,
life.
of course.
20
Oh,
something, you're 20,
absolutely.
you're 20 something, Josh. I don't know. I'm not saying you personally, but you're probably you're meeting girls or whatever you're into. You're meeting lads and you're socializing and you're having a laugh. What is that like now for you? And say you're 20, the 20s age group. It must be fairly horrendous to be just on hold.
Yeah, not gonna lie, like I've had these conversations quite a lot with my friends and stuff like that, where like it's been very tough. And like one thing I would say, I suppose there is the great divide with that. Like obviously younger people have been getting a lot of backlash with the whole social distancing. Kind of gone wild, and I feel like there's two different types of people. There
Yeah,
definitely is people who are sensible about it and they understand the severities, and they live with vulnerable people and they've probably had
yeah,
COVID themselves, so they realize the dangers of it. But at the same time, I suppose, you can I kind of stand on the fence on both sides and I can understand
yeah,
both points. But like, I suppose being in your 20s, being in your late teens into your early 20s, they're really kind of the foundation years for yourself. Way, like where you have to kind of think about people who are, just, busting their chops in college for 4 years and then they
yeah,
decide, well, I want to go off traveling now, or,
yeah,
I want to go on these lads' holidays or girls' holidays or whatever it may
yeah,
be, dating people, just meeting, just doing whatever.
yeah,
Like none of that's possible.
yeah,
That was what made very difficult, that way. And it's the kind of thing, not being able to see your friends, and you're trying to really figure out who you are at this age. I feel like so.
yeah. It must be. I can only imagine it's pretty tough. I take the
Yeah,
view. I for a little while I was like giving out a bit, going, all the young lads and young ones running around. What are they doing about? And then I kind of thought, hang on a minute. I was like 22, 23. We were doing mad stuff,
yeah.
and nobody
And I
asked
think
us any questions.
that's the thing as well. And there's another thing. Like I mean, like I've been working since 16, 17. So
Yeah,
I've been on the tax roll for that long. But like,
yeah,
I mean, there's a couple of people then, I suppose, as well, kind of complaining about younger people being on the pandemic unemployment thing because they haven't been able to
yeah,
pay. They
yeah,
haven't paid enough tax or whatever
yeah,
that may be. But then at the same time, you kind of think like it's not like it was 20 years ago. A lot of people are staying in college because they have to. Because like I mean,
yeah,
I think I speak for most people who are probably
mm,
35 and
yeah,
under. Like it's next to
yeah,
impossible now to get a mortgage or anything like that. So like I mean, you've also got that worry now in the pandemic for young people
yeah,
where they're thinking it was hard enough to get that now anyway. Now I'm unemployed for 2 years.
yeah.
All
No,
that, so I think all those kind of worries start to leak in on younger
yeah, yeah,
younger
yeah,
people, and I suppose it's a generational thing where like the older generation probably wouldn't stop to think about us having those worries.
Yeah, I
It's
don't.
got-
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, I've come to the. I'm really of the opinion now where I think younger people, we need to just back off and leave them alone a bit, because I think if
Yeah,
I was
like
22, 23 and this was going on, I would not know what the hell to do with myself.
yeah,
You
well, I've
can't
had
work.
friends. I've
You
had
can't.
friends have nervous breakdowns like full on, and I've had to talk them through it. Like working two jobs. I had been
Yeah,
working two jobs, and then going through full time college, putting themselves
yeah,
selves through college and stuff like that, and then they can't work. They end up doing all of their assignments and their college work from home. So
yeah,
then they're just caught in a little cycle, and
yeah.
it gets in on you,
It
So
does.
it's
Speaking of college, Josh, you were in BIM. I remember when you were in BIM in Dublin. I was there myself. I think we bumped into each other a couple of times, and
yeah,
now I was up there doing diplomas, right? Because I went back way too late, but I did it for a bit of fun. I went back doing the songwriting diploma and then the drum diploma, and I really enjoyed my time up there. And I remember bumping into you. I used to over in Ginger, the little cafe across the road from BIM. And we used to the meeting there, and I often met you in there and outside there, wherever we have a quick chat. And you were flying it. You're the head down, and you were flying it. Like, you were always serious about what you were doing, and you meant what you were doing and stuff. Like, have you finished in BIM now? Have you graduated now? You're finished up there.
Yeah, so I actually only ended up doing a 1 year, kind of with the way things went for me. I think my plan was to advance into the second year degree,
Yeah.
advance into second year of the degree course,
Yeah.
and things just kind of sharply took a different turn for
Yeah.
me then. So I kind of just went wholeheartedly at
Yeah.
what I was doing, and fortunately, it's kind of so
It
far
has
so
worked.
good, but.
Yeah.
I suppose it kind of happened. It happened. I suppose it happened quick, but at the same time, kind of happened naturally. Where I didn't really think things would move that quickly at the
Yeah.
time either, because I suppose I was only gone into college in, say, the September, and I was working away. I was working
Yeah.
part time as well, and I was kind of in studio with my own stuff and writing, recording stuff. And then I think I released my first single in May. And then that just started getting really good traction on radio and stuff like that. And then I started getting a couple of little festival slots here and there. And then I
Yeah.
released my second single, which I wasn't expecting at all. And I was actually sitting here, which is my dad's office, which used to be my bedroom. It's no longer my bedroom anymore because I'm not here. They kicked me out a
Okay.
few years ago. But
Are you back in Blessington? Are you back in Wicklow now?
well, I'm in Blessington right now, but I'm actually
Yeah.
living in Dublin now at the moment. So
Yeah.
I'm up for the night, folks. I'm moving back to London now on Sunday, so I'm up to say the last goodbyes for
Brilliant. Oh,
for a couple of
wow.
months.
So there's a couple of things. I know you can't tell us everything, but there's a couple of things in the pipeline, is there? You're going back over to London. There's a couple of things happening.
Yeah, back to London now. Kind of supposed finishing off a couple of different bodies of work, and then I've some
Brilliant.
projects I've been working on with other artists. So we got in the last year. It's been great. I suppose I've been kind of gotten into a lot of writing for other people's
Yeah.
projects as much as my
Yeah.
own, and production and stuff. So heading back, I haven't been back. I haven't been in London now since last October. I was there, and then I had to come home when we hit our second lockdown. So
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
else
So
has
you
been
must.
on Zoom.
You must be buzzing now to go back over. You must be like, this is.
Yeah,
This is
you
great.
know what? I was in
Yeah.
the UK last week. I supported McFly last weekend. It was my first
So
show.
I saw that. Yeah. I
Yeah,
saw
it was
that.
mental.
Yeah.
First show in 2 years, and that show was supposed to happen last May. And it was mental. Bit like, it's crazy though when you think about in comparison, because it was full capacity. No
Yeah.
face masks, no nothing, and it felt
So is it-
normal for the half an hour. I
Is
was
it
there playing,
is it a normal gig in the UK? Is everything back to normal? Like,
Essentially, yeah. It's people are vaccinated or even get the rapid antigen test before going in, and
yeah, okay,
it's all good to
yeah.
go. But it was really nice, to be honest, because we've all missed out on that for so long. So just even
Yeah,
not even getting getting to play was better, but
Yeah.
even to be around that kind of an atmosphere was
Normality.
great.
Normality. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you forgot about
Yeah.
for the hour or so you were there, you forgot about the 2 meters and the face masks and all that kind of stuff. But
Brilliant.
yeah,
And
like,
come here,
it's
what other supports are on the horizon? Because I know you were going to do a lot of them before this all started.
There's one pretty big one I literally just found out about 2 days ago that I
Go on.
don't think I'm actually allowed mention just yet.
Go on. Give us a clue.
But I may as well say it in this sort of, like, if my bookers find out I said it, sure, look, I'll pay the price afterwards. But
Don't worry about
I'm
it. We'll
actually
keep
I'm
it.
actually I'm actually supporting Ollie Murs now, which is great.
Wow,
So I found
fair
that
play
out
to
2
you.
days ago.
That's brilliant.
ju-
Oh my God,
So
that's brilliant.
that was
That's
after.
great
So
news.
last weekend was my first live, like, UK show. And
Yeah.
then off the back of that performance, and I got offered that gig, and then, you know, I
Great.
can't do cartwheels, but I was doing cartwheels.
Yeah. That's great news. I'm delighted. I'm delighted for you.
Yeah,
That's good. I mean,
it's
Ollie's a great guy. I mean, he's just, everybody just loves him. He's got a really good outlook, and he's got a good, you know, he's got a good message, and he's one hell of a performer as well. I mean,
oh, he's, you know, he's some showman, and I think the best thing about him, I think the reason why he's so likable is he's just so grounded.
yeah.
Do you know
He
that
is.
way? Like,
yeah.
he doesn't let anything phase him, and he hasn't let any of that go to him, especially after being in the cycle of things that he was in. You know, like the X Factor. Like, you know, you hear some horror stories about people, but
You do.
he's always kind of managed to stay true to himself and never
Yeah.
forget about the other, like, you know, people who've helped him on his way up. So, it's
Well,
going to be
look,
really exciting. So
that's
looking forward to it.
great news. I'm delighted, man. Thanks for telling us. I didn't want to twist your arm too much. I'm delighted you
Yeah.
told us, but it's great. Listen, it's great news, and that kind of thing now just cheers me up. I'm going to be honest, because I'm going to go away tonight now and go, hallelujah, there's a young Irish artist getting, you know, doing it, making it happen. That's great news. It makes me feel good. Something is happening, you know, and I wish you all the best with that. What is happening? Because I know you had an album out there about, what, two years ago, say, it all kicked off. The new stuff. When are we going to start hearing the new stuff?
Yeah, so the new stuff for me has gone very different. I find lockdown has been absolutely amazing for that, because I guess because I've sat down and kind of start producing myself and stuff. I also sat back a bit and asked myself the question, like, now, who are you as an artist? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I know what I like to listen to, and I know things I like to write, but I, like, you know, really spent the time to figure out who am I, because I had that time then, because, like, I feel like everybody kind of stopped a little bit, you know, like even
We
some
all
of the,
did it,
like,
Josh. We've all done it, man. We've all asked the questions. Yeah.
yeah, and I think, like, for me, like, I've grown up on a lot of kind of hip hop and pop. Like, I mean, I think I grew up at the start, like, my mom's quite young having me, so I grew up in a house with 8 aunties, and they're all mad into, you know, like 90s era hip hop.
Yeah.
Kind of. So for me, like, I remember seeing Justin Timberlake on MTV, and I must have been about 3 years of age, and I said to myself, I want to be like him someday. So I kind of took that. I kind of took, like, all my influences and, you know, kind of tried to find my own sound through that. So a lot of my stuff's gone quite hip hop. Which is great, because it feels quite natural to me now as well, especially when the songs have come together. So, but I suppose, like, in the last year, I jokingly was, like, talking about it with my dad. He said, "Jesus, you must have written whatever in the last while." I said, "I probably have," and I actually wrote out a list of stuff I've done. I think since the start of lockdown, I think I've written about 540 songs.
Wow.
That's like produced and recorded, which is hilarious. No, I'm not saying all 540 of them are good.
Yeah. But
you know,
it's a hell of a
it's a muddy tap kind of thing. So but
why
no,
not?
I feel very comfortable in terms of where I'm at musically at the moment, and I'm just really excited now to get stuff out. So just with the world opening back up now, starting to plan accordingly, you know. So
so we'll probably hear, like, are we going to hear new stuff?
Yeah,
this year?
I actually have a track. I haven't announced. Actually, this is the first time I'm announcing this as well. So I've a track coming out now on the 27th of August. I think I'm supposed to announce that this Friday, but I've just said it now. So
that's a double whammy. Double whammy. Thank you very much.
That's it now. Give me all the exclusives. So
well, look, I tell you something. When you do R&B, and there's a lot of acts in Ireland who have tried their hand at it and done it well now, in fairness to them. But there's been an awful lot of acts have tried their hand at it, and it doesn't sit well a lot of the time. It's not. But when you do it, in fairness to you, you're very much I can see you sitting in the room there with your 8 aunties watching Justin Timberlake, and you're immersed in that genre. Because when you do it well. In fairness to you, vocally, rhythmically, everything that it's done well. It's done right. Like you're eating, sleeping, and breathing R&B. When I watch you in a video and stuff. And it's cool. It's cool to break that barrier, because that's what everybody's kind of listening to as well. But it's also nice to see Irish people doing it really well, you know, and not just doing it because it's popular.
Because it's cool. Yeah. For me, it's definitely just out of I'm doing it because it feels natural to me, and it's something I enjoy. Where
it's what you
So it just kind of comes naturally to me. Like I suppose, like, I'm not, like, I do write on the piano and I do write like on the acoustic guitar and stuff, but I probably wouldn't. Like, my first go-to thing would just be, you know, throw an acoustic track. Because it just doesn't feel like it's me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I suppose that's just kind of my reasoning for it. It wasn't it wasn't necessarily me looking at, you know, what's cool and I want to do that. It was more so what do I like, and then do what I like. Essentially, I suppose that's kind of just the way that's the way I try like put it in terms of performance as well. It's just like how what's the gig I'd want to see in my head, and then that's kind of performance I want to give to people. Then, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you're not enjoying it, then no one else is going to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, and you know what? People can see through it. They really do. My first guest tonight, Randall Plunkett. I don't know if you saw him there, a bit of him there, Josh, but he's controversial, right? To put it mildly, but he's so honest and straight down the middle. You couldn't but not like. You'd have to like him. I like that. I like that in people. Just commit to what you are. You know, and like I say again, with the R&B genre, it's always risky, isn't it? Being Irish, R&B and Irish, it's always a risky mix to go for. But when you do it right and it's what you love, you can see it. I can see it when I watch your stuff and I watch what you're doing, and I watch it during the week. You're committed to it, and I think you're going to go. I think you're going to do really well in the UK, man. To be honest, you know, as long as don't forget us here, okay? Come back over and do a few gigs here.
I have this saying that I can't say here on live now, but I have with a good friend when we do a lot of work together, and it's don't be a. I'll insinuate what the rest of it is. So
I know.
I have that bit into me from my mother as well. So I don't think I don't think she'd allow me to ever get like that. But otherwise, she punched the head of me. So
good grounding. Yeah.
Well, I think that's an Irish thing though as well. To be honest, like I think we're. Yeah. I'd like to think that like most of us are always kind of like, you know, we always kind of, we're never too big for our boots kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, I remember.
I think that's just the way most people are, like in terms of like a mentality thing with Irish people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
but we're unique. Yeah, we're unique.
Yeah, we're a breed of our own. We really are.
Yeah. Well, Glenn Hansard often said that about when he hit the dizzy heights there with Once the movie and he got the Oscar and all that, blah, blah. But he often said that his favorite buzz is to come back and just walk on Grafton Street and do the Christmas busk and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And just people pass by him and just go, Glenn, how are you? And how are you? Such. That's what it's all about, really, you know. But still, that's not going to take away from the fact that you're doing the gig with Ollie Murs and things are going to go well. I really do think they will. And thanks very much for being representing the younger musicians, because a lot of our guests here as well, they're kind of my age group, Josh, you know what I mean? So it's good to get you on and get the perspective also about the pandemic and stuff as well, because I think it's important.
I'm delighted. I'm always very fond of chatting, especially on those kind of topics as well. I feel like, you know, definitely through the pandemic, it hasn't been easy for younger people. So it's nice to be able to come on and kind of voice that for most of us, you know, that way. And I think that a lot more of that should be voiced. I'd love to see more young people coming out and saying, hang on a minute, you know, we're doing our best here. Because I know the rollout for the vaccines, the younger people actually turned out in their droves. So kudos. I was like banging on the door to get a vaccination.
There was a lot more of us whinging about it, man. I'll tell you that, our age group, a lot more whinging about it. You didn't. You went ahead and you did it. But I wish you the very, very best in the UK. I wish you the very, very best with the future, with the album and everything that's coming. I'm looking forward to the twists and turns, because I know it's going to be more than R&B. There's an acoustic vibe in there that you're very good at as well, that stripped back kind of thing. I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen there, and your collaborations in the future. All of that. It's exciting news, and keep in touch with us, man. Keep in touch. I'd love to get you back.
Whenever you want me back, man, just give me a shout and I'll be there.
Yeah, pop back on and see we'll see how you're doing in the UK. It'd be great crack to see how things are progressing and stuff. And say hello to all the family. By the way, I love Blessington. It's one of my favourite places.
I love Newbridge as well.
Listen, well, I'm in Limerick now. I'm gone out of there a long time.
Newbridge now.
Newbridge is a good town, but I tell you something, I had great nights up there in O'Connor's and Blessington. It's probably gone now. I don't know if it's still
O'Connor's. It's probably. I think it's called Murphy's now. Actually, we're still going. There's still like 6 or 7 pubs up here. I actually have to go pick up my folks now from the pub as well.
Nothing changes.
Nothing ever changes when you're home.
It's a great music town, man. There was a great band from up around there called the Prayer Boat. I don't know if you remember them.
I know.
The Tinsleys.
Even now, there's if for anyone listening in, there's a fantastic girl from Blessington. Her name is Bobby Arlo.
Okay.
She's I really think Bobby now in the next couple of years, like most people are gonna know who she is. She's so herself, and that's why I just think, you know, the world's her oyster in terms of that. So
Well, I'll check her out, man. I'll check her out. Absolutely. Blessington was always a great town for music. Always. The cream of the crop was up there. I know myself, and I used to gig there many years ago. There was always good music in it. But listen, thank you so much, Josh. I'll let you off. Don't. Well, your parents are probably delighted that you're going to be late because they can have a few late
I'm a
nights.
taxi, yeah, it's of course.
They'll be delighted with themselves. But before I leave you, I am going to play. I'm going to play "Come Home" acoustic, if that's okay, because I love the video.
Oh yeah, please do.
Really
Yeah.
cool song.
I always
and
forget about that one actually.
Yeah, and I thought, you know, when you're on the R&B trip at the minute, I thought, you know, this would be nice just to play as well, because it just shows how, in my opinion, and I'm not just saying this, but you're very, very good at doing strip back as well. Your vocal is impeccable, my friend, impeccable. And there's nothing to hide behind in this song. It explains exactly how good you are at it. So listen, enjoy yourself. Thanks very much for coming on.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, man. Sure, have a great weekend as well. And you know, glad to be back whenever you'll have me.
Brilliant. All the best, and enjoy your trip to the UK. Take care, man.
Brilliant. Chat later, man. Bye.
Bye. So that was Josh Gray in Blessington and Wicklow. Thank God, because that's where I was. I knew he was from Blessington and Wicklow, and it's great. That's where he was coming from. And I want to just play this song really quickly before I go to Amber in Cape Cod. Amber Crowley. I just want to play this song by Josh because I love it. I had it on during the week, and it's called "Come Home," and it's acoustic, and it is. Just gives you an idea of how good a vocalist the guy is for a young fella. I can tell you something. He's going places. Just have a listen to this. It's impeccable in my opinion. It's beautiful. Have a look at this.
We never said what's on our minds. I know I was gonna mess it up a couple 100 times. Too proud to admit to my mistakes. But losing you was the biggest one that I made. Can I win you back? Can you let me back in so I can show you that I can change and be who you need? Give me the chance. Oh, you just come home to me. I don't feel the same when it's you I need. Come home to me. Oh, come home. I know I left you broken, too caught up in the moment. But you trusted me when all I ever did was just lay you down. But I see it now, I can see all my mistakes. Can we go back tonight? The look in your face when we were both happy, 'cause now we're so distant. If I only knew then what I know now, this would never be as it is now. Can we just go back, bed by bed? Oh, you just come home to me. I don't feel the same when it's you I need. Come home to me. Oh, come home. I just need your love tonight. I just need your love tonight. I just need your love tonight. So won't you just come home to me? I don't feel the same when it's you I need. Never should let you go. Just come home to me. Oh, come home. Just come home to me. I don't feel the same when it's you I need. Just Just come home to me.
Wow, wow, wow. The super sounds of Josh Gray. I have to say, guys, just wonderful, 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 wonderful guy. You're going to see a lot more of him. I can tell you that in the future for sure. And he's off to the UK on Monday, I think he said, which is going to be amazing. And see everything he does. What a song. Come Home to Me. Check it out. Check out all this stuff. That I picked that because it really shows his vocal, and it shows how good the guy is for his age. In my opinion, he's got a voice that just seems to have been around forever. I love it. I love to hear that. I want to thank everybody before I go to my last guest, who is Amber Crowley, who you're going to really enjoy. I love her to bits. She's so much fun online. And a really, really positive person as well. But before I do that, I want to thank everybody for watching tonight and coming back to join me again after the break. I really appreciate it. It's been a really enjoyable show tonight, I have to say, lads. I hope I think you're enjoying it. I hope you are. And just a quick one before we do press on with the last guest. And I don't want to harp on about it either, but you do see on the bottom of the screen, there's a little thing flying across. It's a PayPal link. I don't want to pressure anybody in any way, shape, or form. It is there to support the show and the show only. If you want to make a donation to Friday Night Live, anything that's donated goes into the making of the show and the equipment and keeping everything oiled up and right and whatever when stuff breaks down. And it happens. I went out today, actually, ironically enough, my desk here last night. You heard about the Mac. Decided to blow up a couple of weeks ago, but luckily I was able to resurrect it. The mixing desk decided to conk out yesterday, thankfully before today, but I went off and I got myself a nice broadcasting desk today. Really cool. It's called a Zoom L8. I couldn't recommend it more to any broadcasters out there. If this is what you do, get one of those. They're brilliant. But look, things like that happen, whatever. But I decided to set up a little thing like that. If anybody wants to help the show and make a small donation towards the costs of running it on a weekly basis like that, that's what it's for. It's not for anything else, not for personal financial gain or anything like that. So just to let you know, it's there. It's on the bottom of the screen. That aside, moving on, my last guest this evening is Amber Crowley. Amber is just uber cool. And I'm going to go straight to her because I'm going to play her song after the interview because we're running a little bit behind. So she is in Cape Cod in the United States, and she's been doing some wonderful stuff online lately, which I will demonstrate to you shortly. But first, without further ado, Amber, how are you? Can you hear me, Amber?
Oh, really good. How's my sound? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I think we have a huge delay between you and me for some reason.
I can hear you. I can't hear you through my headphones. How's my sound? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I think we have a huge delay between you and me for some reason.
I can hear you.
I'm going to get you to I'm going to get you to reconnect. We have a huge delay between you and me for some reason. I don't know why. I might get you to reconnect, and I might play your song. And we're going to get you to disconnect and reconnect.
I can't hear you through my headphones.
Disconnect and reconnect.
Okay, I'll disconnect and reconnect. Here we go. Disconnect.
One clear cloudless night, I asked the star-filled sky, is there any light beyond the fences of our human senses? I wait for reply. And are there secret faces on stars in distant places? A comet coming from light years beyond our sight tells his tale with his tail of streaking light. Reach for the stars. Let your passion and your talent take you far. Hidden galaxies of dreams keep coming true. A universe of wonder waiting for you. and the tiny mustard seed, just a whisper, crazy dream. Could she grow to be a mighty tree? She breaks through the cold hard ground of poverty and doubt. Now she touches the sky with her proud wings. Dreams achieved because she believed. Reach for the stars. Let your passion and your talent take you far. Hitting galaxies of dreams keep coming true. A universe of wonder waits for you. Reach for the stars. Reach for the stars.
Wow, what a tune, what a tune, what an absolute tune. Reach for the Stars by Amber Crowley. And I just said I played that first because we had a bit of a delay between us there, Amber. It happens sometimes, so we'll see if we can bring Amber back on, and hopefully, because we had a great sound check earlier on, and we should be okay. We should be okay. We'll try this again. So Amber Crowley from in Cape Cod right now. Hello, Amber.
Hey. All right. Are you hearing me okay?
I can hear you okay, but we have a huge delay. I don't know why. For some reason, that is happening. I don't know why. I can hear you okay, but we have a huge delay. I don't know why. For some reason, that is happening. I don't know why. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We'll press on, and I'm going to ask you a question, and we'll go with the delay. Okay. Tell us about your music journey and how you began playing music, Amber.
Okay.
Tell us about your music journey and how you began playing music, Amber.
Okay. Well, thank you for that question. Thank you for that question. All right. Well, I can tell you that I began playing music when I was in grade school. All right. Well, I can tell you that I began playing music when I was in grade school. And I was part of a singing group when I was in high school. And then I became a doctor and trained for medical school. And this took many years of my life. And then I became a doctor and trained for medical school. And this took many years of my life. Yes. Oh, there's an echo is what Michael is saying. Okay.
There is.
I'm going to go into the Focusrite and try to find out why.
Yeah. There's something like a large echo, but don't worry about it, Amber. These things happen. It's totally different from earlier on. But you know what we can do is I'm going to give you a minute to go and have a look at that, and we'll come back. We'll come back, and I'll play some music. But you know what we can do is I'm going to give you a minute to go and have a look at that, and we'll come back. We'll come back.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Okay, I will. I will go ahead and go back, and it sounds like we're hearing double. So let me try to find out why. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to go out and come back in.
Okay, it happens sometimes, guys, especially overseas, coming in from America. Which it's a tough one. And I really want you to meet Amber Crowley. You have to meet Amber Crowley and check out everything she does online. She's doing wonderful things online at the minute. Her lives, her Facebook lives, are just so positive and so productive, and she's literally done a whole album online in the last year as well. She's done a lot of stuff, and also as a retired physician, this lady has taken to music like a duck to water. to give you just a brief outline of it. But while we're waiting to see why that's happening, because in our sound check was fine, but sometimes it happens. We might go with a little bit of music just for fun, and see what we can do for you. I hope you're enjoying the show, lads. I apologize about the technical difficulties that kick in up and down, but it happens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and pick something. I don't normally, well, I never do this actually, so this is going to be kind of fun. I'm just going to do this for a minute and see if we can get Amber back in, but I want to pick something random, okay? Something random that we haven't, not a shameless plug, okay? Not a shameless plug. Something from an early show, if I still have it here. There's a couple of artists that I really loved from the first couple of shows that we did, and I'm going to pick something random. I'm not sure yet what it is. I'm going to just open a playlist here because I have them on, and we'll just pick something kind of cool. I do like this song. This is a song, right? I'm going to go with this one straight away, and it's called Hollow by Ger Eaton. Ger Eaton was on the show a couple of weeks back, and this was his video. I absolutely love it. It's really, really cool, and it's called Hollow. So I'm going to play this one for you and give it another spin and see what you think. And while we're getting Amber sorted out, okay, God, here we go. Ger Eaton, enjoy.
Still I stumble on, for a father's love seeks the shelter from within. Ever felt hollow? Have you ever felt the sea as you're resting in the shallows and the waves arise?
I'm going to go back to Amber and just see if we can get her in and see and that is Ger Eaton, of course, Hollow. I'll get back to that. I might play that at the end of the show because it's a really cool song. It was his last single. It was really cool. But I'm going to get to Amber. She's back backstage, and we'll see if we can get her because you got to meet her. You got to meet her. So let's see what we can do. Here we go. So Amber, welcome back.
Thank you so much.
So we have a huge delay. Don't worry about it. It's a tricky one. It's the internet. It happens. It didn't happen during our sound check, and sometimes it just happens. There's nothing we can do about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to grab your guitar and play a song for me first, because I want everybody to hear you playing your guitar.
Yeah.
Please.
All right. Sounds good. Okay, I'm going to do Circle of Love.
So, ladies and gentlemen, apologies for the delay. It just happens. We've no control over it. Sometimes it
All
happens.
right, here we go.
This is.
Hey, Claire. Hello. Hello, Anne and Kathy. Nice to see you, Claire. Good to see you, and Anne and Kathy too. A circle is so much finer than a line. Nobody cuts in front and nobody's left behind. It's kindness we could all join hands. Circle of love could reach around the land. It's a circle of love. Circle of love. Circle of love. Circle of love. Circle of
circles of the love. Armies are a circle and you. Earth spins circling around the sun. Light united order. It's a circle of love. 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 Can you feel love? Laughing it's a circle of love. Circle of love. Circle of love. Circle of love. Circle of love.
Wow. Boolabus. Boolabus. Wow.
Thank you.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Oh, here I see that there Ian Walsh is here from the Ultimate Kitchen Party Ireland. Hello, nice to see you, Sir Walsh. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, and Kathy Messman and Ben and Michael Weinstein, Claire Cassidy, Sarah Callahan. Hello, good to see you. All right, and Anne. All right, good to see everybody out there.
Amber, we are delighted to welcome you, and unfortunately, don't worry about the delay. We heard you, and it was beautiful, and we are delighted to welcome you to Ireland and the southwest of Ireland, in particular in County Limerick. Here, you are a positive star, my friend, and we will definitely have you back. Okay, we're going to make sure that we'll have you back soon, and we'll get all of this sorted out. But it's been wonderful having you on the show tonight.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Amber, I want everybody, could you tell everybody before we go where to find you and find your music and the easiest way to see you doing your lives? Amber, I want everybody, could you tell everybody before we go where to find you and find your music and the easiest way to see you doing your lives?
Absolutely. Every Tuesday and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. 10 p.m. in the UK and Ireland and Scotland. I do a live stream show. I do a live stream show that is an hour long, and I do all original songs. They are upbeat, uplifting, positive. I do a live stream show that is an hour long, and I do all original songs. They are upbeat, uplifting, positive. Please come and listen if you haven't already connected with me. And then Barbara, hello. Kathy, hello. Claire, hello. All right. It is a difficult connection that we have here. And Murray McIntosh, hello. It is a difficult connection that we have here. And Murray McIntosh, hello. All right. He is from Radio Scotland. So you go, you all can connect with Scotland through him. And I'm very happy to be here tonight. And this is a great radio show. And our sound check went really well, but for whatever reason, this did not, there's a lot of latency that we're hearing. So I'm not sure why. And, but I hope to be back again, and we'll try to sort this all out.
We will, of course, Amber. We will definitely have you back, of course. This happens rarely, but sometimes. Over
all right. Until then, thank you. Lots of love from across the pond to everyone.
Thank you, Amber. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You're a star. Thank you, Amber. I really appreciate it. I apologize, guys, but the latency, it's very difficult, unfortunately, when it happens. It's very difficult. Well, it's impossible to chat and do an interview. But Amber Crowley, you've got to go check her out. We'll get her back. We'll get her back soon. Maybe next week, actually. We'll do something, okay? Because we're all connected and hooked up now. And sometimes it happens like that. Everything goes fine in a sound check, and then the actual live can be different. It has happened to me here on more occasions than one, where everything is fine, and then you go to actually fire it up live, and it all goes absolutely pear-shaped. So, but look, you heard her, you saw her, you know who she is now. Amber Crowley in Cape Cod, in her summer residence, might I add, and you can catch her in Florida during the winter, which is a wonderful way to live your life, to be able to move from one place to another following the seasons. I love that. I love the idea of doing that. I'd like to do that at some stage in my life. But she's a wonderful lady. You've got to go watch her live on Facebook, Amber Crowley Music, and she's on YouTube as well. So go over to YouTube and check her out as well. Because I know she's building up her YouTube subscribers, the same as we all are, and it's a tough game over on YouTube. So please go over and support her, and subscribe to her channel, and listen to all the music. She's got an entire body of music done in the space of a year and a half. It's wonderful what she's doing, and she works very fast and very quickly, very productively. There's no mess, and she gets stuff recorded and out there. So go and check her out. Amber, apologies for the latency. Apologies to all of your friends and fans who came on tonight to support you. Major apologies to everybody. It happens, unfortunately. It's out of our control, but it was wonderful to have her here in Ireland tonight. I would like to thank all my guests tonight in Friday Night Live for coming on, because it was a sort of a tricky evening, because we had 4 guests lined up, and unfortunately one of our guests couldn't make it. So I thought, wow, I was thinking 3 guests is not much, but it actually is enough, to be honest. It was wonderful. I enjoyed it. Randall Plunkett, all the way from Dunsany Estate in County Meath. What an interview. I really enjoyed that at the start. And of course, Roisin McAlinden, who couldn't make it tonight, but you saw her video tonight. Go check her out. She's a wonderful singer-songwriter based in Kildare, Newbridge in Kildare. And Josh Gray, who is going to the UK after the weekend to do big things, guys. You heard it tonight on Friday Night Live. He's going supporting Ollie Murs. And he's going to do big stuff. I just know he is. And if you heard the song that I played tonight, you will see what the guy can do. And of course, the wonderful, uber cool, fantastic Amber Crowley, who unfortunately had the latency that just didn't pan out. It happens, but we will fix that, and we always do on Friday Night Live. We'll get her back if she's available. Amber, I know you're still there in the green room. If you're available next week, we'll get Amber back, and we'll make sure we'll fix all that stuff, and we'll give her a good sort of an outing and an interview here in Ireland, because we don't refuse anybody a good time here in Ireland, and that's a fact. Guys, thank you so much to everybody for listening to Friday Night Live and tuning back in after the summer break. I hope you enjoyed it. I forgot to roll the blind up behind me. You probably noticed that there in the last interview, because all the lights actually go back kind of eternally this way, and I forgot to roll the blind up. So even I make mistakes here on Friday Night Live. I'll see you all next week. Next week and the week after are shaping up to be pretty phenomenal. I'm not going to lie. There's my guests that are coming on board at the minute Some of them, I'll be honest, are people who I am absolutely unashamedly a huge fan of, which is my favorite part. That's why I love doing Friday Night Live, when I get somebody on who I've been listening to for years and I'm a big fan of. And there's definitely one or two of them on the way whom you will all be quite familiar with. So stay tuned next Friday, 10 p.m, same time, same bad channel. And it's going to be another packed lineup. I'm bringing back the t-shirts, by the way, soon. The Friday Night Live t-shirts are coming back. And also the album is here as well. I know I said about the PayPal account on the bottom of the screen. You can buy my album through that, and you'll be able to get Friday Night Live t-shirts through that as well, starting next week. So, or you can just donate to the show. The link is there. That aside, I'm going to leave you as I do every week, and as we've done every week from the beginning, with a shameless plug, because I think that's, why not? You might as well have a little shameless plug after all the conversation and everything. So I'm going to have a quick look here for something. Sorry, guys, because I got a little bit thrown there, but don't worry, we'll get something going on here now. I'm going to go do here and see what we can throw on. Do you know what? I won't do a shameless plug, because I did promise you that I would play Hollow by Ger Eaton. And I love this song. So Ger, if you're tuned in tonight, Ger Eaton and Duncan Maitland and all you guys who've been on the show recently, this is for you guys. This is called Hollow by Ger Eaton, my good friend in Dublin. I love this song. This is one of his recent singles that's doing quite well as well. Have a listen on the radio. Have a listen out for it. And check him out as well online. This is Mr. Ger Eaton. Good night and God bless from Friday Night Live, guys. See you all again next week at the same time, same bad channel. And don't forget, t-shirts are coming back. T-shirts are coming back. Good night, guys. God bless. Peace. Mind yourselves.
Ever felt hollow? Have you ever felt the sea as you're resting in the shallows and the waves are rising? Is there a higher grace, somewhere a higher place, where the waters cannot reach? Have you ever felt beaten by a cold and raging wind that sweeps all that's before it, laying bare a furrowed skin? A single teardrop forms a lonely river, and it turns the shoulder to its origin. Still I stumble on, for a father's love seeks the shelter from within. Have you ever felt hollow like me?